This video is sponsored by you. Yeah, there's only a few days left to join over 1,000 awesome folks who backed my pulp fantasy adventure, Under the Shadow of Hellfast Spire. There's a hex crawl wilderness of interwoven threats and secrets. There's a classic vertical dungeon crawl with even more dangers and loot, new monsters, magic items, hazards, and character options designed for Shadow Dark RPG and thus broadly compatible with your favorite fantasy games. We even have add-ons for Daggerheart and Dungeon Crawl Classics for the first ever print run of my 2 best-selling zines, so check out all of that with Under the Shadow of Hellfast Spire today, link below. Now imagine this. You are a teenager in the year 2026. Maybe some of you actually are. So you're growing up in a world where politics are no longer private beliefs, but very public, where there are technically celebrities, trends, and #1 movies, but their popularity lasts 1 or 2 weeks at most, and where technology like social media and AI assistants are always at your fingertips whether or not you want them to be. Growing up is just tough, and to be doing it in a world that is so loud and fast and judgmental, wouldn't it be fun to just hang out with your friends or even your family in a way that lets you unplug from all the noise and experience a different world for a while, where the problems are all things that you can solve because here you're a hero, or better yet, you get to create that world for yourself and others to enjoy. It is easy to see why tabletop role-playing games like Dungeons & Dragons have always been appealing to young people, or to anyone who feels ignored or put down by the world around them. But unfortunately, in 2026, even the world of TTRPGs is kinda complicated. Searching online for guidance on getting into D&D will initially show you tutorials and some helpful product reviews, but it can quickly get muddled with other games that all seem similar at a glance, and worst of all, lead you down a rabbit hole of toxicity, like any nerdy fandom has. That is why, whenever I open my email inbox and I see a new message from a new dungeon master asking for advice, I answer that call. I want to help people of all ages, of course, but that teen DM. I'm just a teenage dungeon master. There's a parody song in there, and teenagers might not get it, but that teen DM could have a whole lifetime of amazing adventures ahead of them if they have enough fun today to stick with the game. And all along the way, then who knows how many more people they might introduce to this life-changing hobby. We all should be helping them. Thus, in order to give you a first-hand account on the plight of new DMs today and how you too can empower this next generation of dungeon masters, the next stewards of our hobby, I'm going to read and respond to an email from one such DM seeking advice on a few different areas related to multiple TTRPGs, because apparently they have a good taste in games. And if you watching happen to be a new DM or this particular DM, hopefully my responses are helpful, and hopefully this video and the comments on it show you that lots of people are experiencing the same issues as you are today, or they did when they were starting out. And please, if you have been a mentor to new players and DMs in your community, share in the comments below how you're doing that so we can all learn more about how it works, so we can celebrate your work and encourage others to do what you do. Hello, sir. I think the sir is a first for me, and yeah, I think I am gonna make up a voice for this guy so everyone who's doing the dishes can better distinguish who's who here. Hello, sir. I'm 15 to 16, and I've been following your channel for a while now. It has completely changed how I run RPGs. Thank you very much for watching. And after watching your various videos reviewing different RPGs, I have so far bought Daggerheart, Nimble, and the D&D 2024 PHB and starter set. Okay, yeah, wow. If you're talking physical copies, that's a chunk of change for someone in high school, so nice work. I assume you have a job or save up from chores and whatnot, and this next part is reassuring. I am very happy with each game, and each was 100% worth the money I paid for them. However, as I can only run games every so often, and my group is not composed of people who have made TTRPGs pretty much their entire life, that's very relatable, I cannot run all of these RPGs without confusing them. Another pause. This is totally understandable. Learning one game can be tough, so learning multiple TTRPGs all in your first couple years of playing or GMing must be a real challenge. Furthermore, this is a challenge that I think most players and DMs have not had to deal with, because for most of the last 50 years, D&D was the big game. As I understand it, part of the 90s and early 2000s were more diverse with Vampire the Masquerade, Shadowrun, and some other games, but about 2005 to 2023 was all D&D and Pathfinder. And today, if you're looking for info on RPGs, you're gonna find a lot of very similar, very cool options. So back to it. My first question is, how can I decide which TTRPG I should make my number one RPG, or the game, so to speak? Excellent question. And first, the very simple answer. Choose the game that is the most fun for you and your players together. But I'd like to expand on that because it may sound too simple to be helpful. As I just hinted, my experience learning RPGs was pretty linear, starting with a couple campaigns that were basically all homebrew, then playing D&D 5e for several years because for all we knew it was the only game in town. We did mix in a little 3e and Call of Cthulhu, then learning Dungeon Crawl Classics, then learning Cairn, and so on. So by the time I started really jumping from one system to the next, reading new rulebooks, getting new ideas, I had more or less mastered the rules of D&D 5e and already had a pretty firm vision of what I find fun and therefore what I want to see in my number one RPG. In your case, learning all these new games kind of at once, and if your players are in fact confused about which game was which when they look back on the sessions, it'll be difficult to describe which game or mechanics they enjoyed the most. But also, if they are much less invested in the hobby than you are, I think that gives you even more sway as the game master to choose a game based on what you like best. Now, what I'm getting at with a game is that this choice is not necessarily the game forever. You are choosing one game to play for at least 5 sessions in a row. 10 would be great, however long it takes for everyone to master the basics and decide for themselves what parts are fun or not, after which point you can actually decide as a group if that game is fun enough to be your number one game, and if not, pick another game for the next 5 or 10 sessions. Ultimately, your forever RPG will be the game that's like 80% perfect, because you probably won't find something perfect for everyone in the group. And then you all homebrew that last 20% and you stay open to discussing changes in the future as you come across other fun ideas. That is the essence of folk D&D, a term coined by Ben Milton that can apply to any game, the point being that the vast majority of people playing RPGs at home are actually playing their own Frankenstein homebrew mashups of a few RPGs. So at the end of the day, you gotta make your own monster. One other point here that we'll expand on in another part of the email, you may want to find a second group of players who are just more into the hobby and more willing to keep trying multiple systems. Okay, my second question is, I don't remember the voice I was doing. Would you advise me to buy DCC? I'm deciding what to buy next regarding RPGs. And this one has a genuinely simple answer, though maybe not the answer that my regular viewers would expect. For those unaware, DCC refers to Dungeon Crawl Classics, one of my personal favorite RPG rulebooks right here on the shelf behind me. But that doesn't change my perspective here. TTRPGs are basically free to play, because they're just your imagination, conversation, and some dice rolls. And whenever you're considering buying one, there's a very simple procedure. Check out some reviews online or the free Quick Start PDF if the game has one. I'll link DCC's below. And after that, if you think you'll use those mechanics or other ideas from the game as part of your 20% homebrew, or maybe even as your 80% for the number one RPG, then it's probably worth picking up a copy. But while you're at it, I definitely recommend picking up the free Quick Start rules for Shadowdark too. It's very simple to learn, especially if your group has already played D&D 5e, and it is absolutely my favorite game to design things for, and I'm looking forward to running a lot more of it this year. Next. The second quandary that I have is that, as mentioned before, my group is not composed of people who have made TTRPGs their life. I really want to find a group of people who are as immersed in the hobby as I am and want to explore as many new games as possible. Do you have any advice on how to do this? So, On one hand, I think all teens and everyone who was a teen can agree it is an age of obsession. It can be a real challenge to find a group of people who obsess over the same thing you do in the same way. Like maybe they have the same favorite band as me, but they're memorizing the lyrics and I'm trying to learn the guitar chords. I'm just a teenager. When it comes to RPGs, I bet hundreds of you watching have experienced this exact quandary, and certainly more have experienced variations where your fellow players don't prioritize the session schedule, or half the group is not really into that new RPG you've been trying out, or you're struggling to find players at all. Once again, it is tough out there. And it's very common in this hobby for we, game masters, to be the most obsessed players in our groups. That's why we're willing and happy to spend hours and hours of free time every week building worlds, writing adventures, creating locations and monsters and treasure and characters for our fellow players to enjoy in the game, hopefully as much as we enjoyed making them. But as ubiquitous as this quandary may be, like the first two questions, it has a very simple answer that a lot of people just do not like to hear. You just have to ask people to play D&D with you. It can be awkward. It might confuse them. It 100% opens up the possibility of rejection, which nobody likes. But it is the answer. If you are not homeschooled, school will be the easiest place to find other players your age, but depending on your location, local libraries, sports teams, other clubs and organizations can be great ways to make a couple friends, or at least find a couple people to play RPGs with, who then maybe become your friends through playing RPGs. The fact is, no matter who you are, there are hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of people living within a 10-minute drive. All you need to do is get out there and find one other person to play with. So you can do this with permission from your parent or guardian. But of course, if you're willing to play online and you have permission from your parent or guardian to hang out with strangers on the internet, you can probably find a game group in the Discord server created and moderated by the game's publisher, and you can almost certainly find a group using Roll20's features to create a game or join a game, and if you're able to afford it, you can absolutely play different games by booking a seat in a session on Start Playing. That one's pay to play, but it's a guarantee. Back to the email. And the final thing that I have, sir, still not used to that, and actually this part's longer, so I'm not gonna do the voice, is that I would like to write one-shots, specifically one-shots that follow the Sandbox on Rails, bounty hunt, and scrim-style region maps ideas that you talk about in various videos, and publish them on DriveThruRPG and anywhere else really. And I was wondering whether, if I were to send you a copy of one of these adventures, when I have it finished, it's a 50-page PDF for D&D on a jungle island, the main adventure location is a volcano/cave dungeon that is also the tomb of a dragon that's been dead for about 1500 years, would you be willing to mention it in one of your videos? I can't sponsor a video, of course, but I would love to hear your feedback on the adventure. I should realistically have it done in about 3 to 4 weeks, as I am new to writing adventures. Thank you so much for your videos, the community that you've created, and the change you have brought to my TTRPG table. All right, you're very welcome. Like I said at the top, I love to hear from people that what I'm doing is actually working and getting folks into the game, trying new systems, new ideas, and overall trying new ways to have fun with this stuff. But this request is tragically where I have to pump the brakes a little bit. I hate to discourage these requests because part of me loves knowing that people want my feedback on their adventure or their rule supplement or their indie RPG. But literally, I receive several emails every week asking for this kind of open-ended general feedback. Probably 99% are adults writing larger books, and so it probably shakes out to about 50 to 100 pages per day. A frankly impossible amount of material for me to read or give worthwhile general feedback on, and for what it's worth, my general policy here is that I never guarantee feedback or promotion of any kind in exchange for free samples. However, for the youths, I do my best to provide some kind of feedback. And for everyone, it's way more effective for both of us, writer and reviewer, if you can choose a small number of specific things that you want feedback on. What do you think of the page layout in this sample? How can I improve my box text descriptions? Does this monster seem too powerful for the level range I chose? But for that one, and almost any mechanical questions, the answer is playtest it with your group. I can definitely give opinions on mechanics. That's a lot of what I do on this channel too. But if you're unsure enough to ask a guy on the internet about it, playtesting should come first. And for everyone, remember, it is a crazy world out there, and anything you can do to help the next generation of game masters will help the next generation of our entire hobby. They're going to be the ones writing the cool adventures and the cool supplements and the cool RPGs 10, 20, 30 years from now. And you could be a part of inspiring awesome games in the future. So now I'm going to write a much shorter reply to that email, and you are going to check out Under the Shadow of Hellfast Spire on Kickstarter before it ends. And thanks as always to my patrons and YouTube members who get bonus video content for making all this possible. Keep building.